to TV and Film Focus. As you can see, we've kind of changed up the format of the show a little bit. I'm here today. My name is Victoria Main. I'm your hostess, and I'm here today with Brandon Cole of Death Calm Studios, Keely Gelineau of Polished Perception, and Francis Heid, who is a producer around town.
Does whatever he wants.
Does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff today, both what we're doing, each of us, and then also going to be talking a little bit about Catalyst, which is coming up here next week, and about, just the state of the industry in general. So who wants to start?
Well, I think we need to congratulate Brandon, first of all, that he's gotten into Catalyst.
Oh, that's true.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you tell us what it's going to be, what your script is, what happens?
So first of all, I got to say that, I was coming out of a movie when I got a text from Philip to see if I'd gotten the emails, because I hadn't been getting them because they've been having some problems with that, and I was like, whoa, it got in, because, they don't typically take my genre unless they deem it very good. So I took that, first of all, as a very big compliment, but then to find out, some of the other stuff that I get to do with, like, the table reads and getting it in front of certain people, but essentially the script is something I wrote back in 2013 when I was in college as like a little writing journal that for a creative writing class, or you got to write 300 words every week. And I'm like, well, I'm going to tell this story. And then I tabled it and I looked at it again last year. I was like, this is kind of good. I should probably do something with this. And I'm like, it's already sectioned off like an episodic. This might be a Catalyst thing. So I turned it into a web series, and essentially it's like a dark love letter to Edgar Allan Poe and some of those writers like that who have lived, lives of tragedy and brought us some of the best writing that we've ever read. And it's about a struggling writer locally here in Duluth who becomes a serial killer to fuel his writer's block, and then kind of tries to duel the lives.
Wow.
So
dark side of writer's block.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that's essentially what it is.
And so what will Catalyst get you? What do you get to do with that?
So I get to do a 15-minute table read. I'm just going to do the first 3 little 5-minute web episodes. They're about 5 pages each for the table read. And then I get, I believe, some specific meetings with certain people that may be interested, and obviously going to the after parties and being there the weekend to pitch it and, shop it around, and hopefully we find somebody that wants to pick it up or fund it or get some traction behind it in some way. So
that's so cool.
I'm very excited for that.
Cool. That is awesome.
Good job.
Keely, what's going on with Polished Perception?
Well, we have 2 feature films in the works right now, so we're in pre-production for the first one. We were hoping to begin this fall, but now that we have the new tax incentives and such, we are pushing it back to this next year. But we have everything in place. We were fortunate enough just to sign a distribution contract last week, so they are doing pre-sales for us. We have domestic box office, so we will be in theaters, which is really exciting for us, and then of course the streaming and international as well. We have our starlet all ready to go. I can't name names on TV yet, but for us it's really exciting to bring her to Duluth to film here. Her dad is a very well-known actor and director and producer of his own, so this will be kind of her chance to get from underneath his shadow, which is really, really fun and exciting. And the fact that we're just filming it in Duluth is so incredible to me. It is a union project, so that's great. We're bringing good jobs and good money to the community. So, and we have 2 lined up. And this for me, because my background was in corporate production, is my first feature film that I'm producing. So
nice.
I'm pretty excited. Thank you.
Yeah, this is really cool.
So,
that's awesome.
And to kind of dovetail into that a little bit, the only reason I have this opportunity is from Catalyst of 2019. I interviewed a creator for a different project, and when they decided to relocate to Duluth, it was because of Catalyst. So,
oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
On that note, I just really want to say too that I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social media the last few weeks about Catalyst alum from 2019 doing very well and getting some scripts, on streaming platforms and stuff like that. So this is all really cool.
It is. It's really, it's funny because I think people from outside of the industry don't realize, they want instant gratification. Mm-hmm. They see, okay, Catalyst came to Duluth. where are all the big movie stars? And instead, as knowing when you work in production, everything takes. I mean, I think a feature out of the Midwest, the average lifespan is about 3 to 4 years
Yeah.
from conception to distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so the fact that things are happening just from, and then of course through the pandemic, drastically slowed everything down.
Sure.
It's a really positive sign.
And is COVID going to affect it in any way? Have you got COVID safety procedures?
We do. They kind of, well, it depends on when we film. But everything is kind of in place and ready to go. We probably won't start filming till the fall, so who knows what's going to happen between now and then. So you always have to stay on your toes with
What
that.
I've heard is a lot of film insurance companies are making production companies basically have COVID protocols in place on set in order to ensure the production.
Yes.
So
Yep.
That's pretty standard.
But yeah, I mean,
and simple.
you know, in a perfect world, we climb out of this baby and nobody has to think about it anymore. But you know,
Yeah.
just in case, you know, I think people will be ready, and you know, we can do what we have to do to keep
Exactly.
working. So, Francis, tell us what kind of mayhem you're making out
Well, 3 things I wanted to talk about today. One, you know, I'm still finishing off the Hunter that we have got. Alexander Gutterman and I have got a distribution agreement with a company called Docs Now Plus. And so they're showing the Hunter and Alex's other film in winter. We're still trying to raise the money to keep finishing to pay off all of our loans. So if you need anything to invest in, send money to thehunterepisodic.com. But the other thing that I'm really excited about today is, you know, as you know, I'm on the board at Zeitgeist, and Zeitgeist is going to start a film school. They're going to do some film classes. A guy by the name of Matt Kashmiri, he has been teaching classes up at the Discovery Center in Chisholm, and he's going to bring that class structure down to Duluth and teach classes at Zeitgeist. It's an 8-week course. They're buying equipment for it. You're going to have a complete editing station, cameras, lighting that you can use. In Chisholm, he said that most of his students were beginners, but it's he described it as a very holistic course where you're going to learn the processes, storytelling, technical stuff. It's basically from start to finish about making a film. Matt, I just really got to like him. Alex and I met with him, and he sounds like this great guy. I haven't seen any of these films yet, but he talked about he's a documentary filmmaker. He did one film on this island that's disputed between Japan and Korea, and apparently it's very controversial.
Wow.
And he's getting.
I saw that film because
you did?
it was at Duluth Superior Film Festival.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Matt was actually one of the co-chairs of the Duluth Superior Film Festival this year. So I met him and saw his film, and the gal, you know, he and this gal whose name escapes me right now, but they co-chaired the festival. And that film about that island was really an amazing piece of work, and I was like, wow, you know.
He's showing it at film festivals in Korea, in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It just sounded really interesting.
Very interesting.
And then he said that he finished one documentary about a pig farmer and how the farmer what he does. But now he was working on a new documentary about a cow farmer, but it was going to be told from the point of view of the cow. So there's actually going to be very little dialogue, and it just sounds so fascinating. I want to see it when it comes out. It just sounds great. So he was a great guy to get to talk to. So just a little bit more about the course. It's an 8-week course, full equipment. The fee will be $200 for an 8-week course. They are offering scholarships for lower income, and so it sounds
And
great.
so when you say they, this is being done through.
Zeitgeist.
Okay,
So-
so when you say they, that's who's offering scholarships.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I don't know that for sure who's giving the scholarship.
Okay.
But I know there are scholarships available.
Okay.
But the other thing I wanted to talk about with this was that it made me think, as apparently UMD is offering some sponsorship money for this, and as you probably know, that UMD is also giving money for Catalyst. And so I wanted to find out why why they're doing so much. And so I called one of the deans up there, and he basically said that the students at UMD are just demanding this kind of they want something related to filmmaking. So there's a bunch of students at UMD that are interested in filmmaking. He said that he thought this was a great opportunity for the students to make connections with the film community here. You know, that as the film community grows, it'll be great for the students to have the ability to experience what's going on. And he also said that that one of the reasons he was interested in it was all the changes that are going on in the Twin Ports in relationship to film with the tax credits and Catalyst and all the stuff that's going on in the filmmaking community. So things like this and your show, Victoria, are helping to bring that knowledge of the filmmaking industry in Duluth. And it's just great. So
You know, as someone who not only went to film school here at LSC, but has been here locally for the last, 10 years or so, kind of having some inside knowledge that this place might burst at some point, the film bubble, I think this is all fantastic.
Oh,
And I would like to interject too that, and I'm going to speak right to the camera, we need cast and crew locally. I mean, that is so important for us to qualify for our tax incentives, and we have to have students and interns, every so many crew that we hire to be able to qualify for these tax benefits. So it is very important.
so you actually have to keep records of what were Duluth
Absolutely.
or regional employees.
Absolutely. We do both Duluth, St. Louis County, and then if it's up in the IRRB, and then Minnesota. And we're doing some work with Wisconsin now too. So.
Well, and I can piggyback on that and tell you that when I'm not working on my own stuff, I've earned quite the reputation as like an AD production coordinator.
Perfect.
And I have resources to tons of local crew that when the stuff does come, we can fill crew, and it's going to be great.
Awesome. That is so great. I mean, it takes a
And,
village, and we have.
and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there maybe watching this that want to be crew, that want to get into this. It's really easy to get in on the ground level. So now's the time to speak up and come talk to some of us and, say that you're interested.
Well, in the Upper Minnesota Film Office, if you're ever on Facebook and you're looking for go to Upper Midwest Film Office. It was for years it was Upper Minnesota. And I can't stop saying that, but now it is the Upper Midwest Film Office. It's Ricky McManus and Sherry Mark is something with an M. Sherry's a great gal. So they're also doing things to. They have a database of crew. Reach out to that office. You can reach out to them on Facebook and just tell them you're interested in being crew, and they'll set you up with a training opportunity through one of these avenues. You know, and I think there's even going to be more. In fact, I'm actually talking to Brandon Leno from LSC right after our show today about kind of getting that pathway going, because what would be the best case scenario is that we train. We keep putting new people into the pipeline who have the skills and the talents that are needed on film sets.
And as the man who taught me almost everything that I know, I can say he's a great trainer.
He's a great trainer. Brandon and I were in school together at LSC in the
And
media
I was
program.
in class with you.
And Keely actually. So the only one who wasn't was Francis. So we want to get all those avenues, for people to keep feeding into the business, because we need, in order to create an industry, you need people to work in it. So,
and
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and you don't have to go like we all did. You can take this 8-week class and spend $200 investing in a new career. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And 99% of it is learning on the job, so
Well, and that-
these classes and then the classes through the Upper Midwest Film Office
Yep.
are amazing, and they have scholarships.
I can piggyback on that once again and attest to that the crew that I work with at Death Calm, like Heather Olson, who Francis and I were talking about before the show, she has a background in theater. She has no training in film, and a lot of the crew that I work with that I've selected for my projects have just such a passion and drive to do this, and they've showed me that they're willing to put in the work, and that's how I've assembled the crew that I have, that I not only do my own stuff with, but they're the crew that I bring with me when somebody calls me and says, hey, I need you to AD, and I need 3 PAs, and I need a assistant camera, and I need this and that. So I assemble through these people, and a lot of them have just reached out to me over the years and said, hey, I want to do this, how do I get in this? And I say, hey, next short film, I'll give you a shot. And then they work their way up the ladder.
And I agree. The interesting thing is that you don't have to have a lot of specific training unless you have some technical fill. One day during the filming of The Hunter, I was kind of chastising Alex Gutterman because I said, we only had 3 people that we were filming that day, the actors. There was the cameraman, the sound man, and the director, and yet we had 12 people on the set. And I was like, why do we need so many people? What's going on here? And we really did need that many people on the set because there were people running back and forth, bringing stuff, keeping track of stuff going on. And so there are things that you do that are just that you help the film being made, but you're not necessarily, one of the people that requires specific technical knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a saying, and I always say this, and I always, I started out as a PA, and I always tell my PAs this: you guys are probably the most important people on set, because although you guys feel sometimes like the lower tier and the guys that are running and getting coffee or getting talent a snack or driving to the store, you guys hold the production together because you are doing the jobs that need to be done that people that are higher up don't have the time to think about. And that's what I realized when I was doing a PA. So I always kind of give my PAs that kind of speech, like, you're just as important to this production as I am as the director, or I am as the AD, or the lead actor is, and don't let people devalue you. You obviously have to know your chain of command, but the PAs are just as important, if not
And I
more
always
so
say
at
that
times.
that was the big mistake I made on The Hunter, is that I presumed it was the actors and the technical people. I didn't have enough production assistants there. And so we were constantly running to get more production assistants.
Sure.
And I would call people, can you please be on the set? I called you, I think.
I think you did.
Can you be on the set and help? And so, it is something that you really need, and you get to be involved in it, and you get to understand how it works.
Right.
Well, and that's a very valid point that both Brandon and Keely made, and Francis too, that you don't necessarily need specific training. Like, you don't have to learn to be a camera operator to work on films,
And
or
I'll
an
give
audio expert.
I'll give you a quick verb specifically on camera. The gentleman that I use right now as my DP, his name is Scott Hensley, and I met him a few years ago. He was one of the people that had reached out to me about wanting to do stuff, and he came on. He co-wrote a thing with me. Started as a PA, worked up to assistant camera, and then through necessity, he locked himself in a room for 48 hours with the camera that we had at the time, and taught himself to run the camera, and is now my running DP. And he just purchased a Black Magic, which we unfortunately haven't had the chance to really use yet. But that just shows you, from 2016 when I met him, his personal growth with no formal training. He's now gotten to the DP point where he's investing in his own camera equipment. So anybody can do this.
Yeah.
If they
And
really want
one
to.
more thing that I want to say is, if you have an interest in TV and film, that doesn't mean it has to be your career either. Around
Right.
here, we need people who have careers in different areas, such as business, accounting, law, hairstylists, makeup artists. All of that can learn to work on set and have a really fantastic supplemental construction. That's huge. I mean, I think we've said it in years past, but it's blue collar manufacturing is movies. And
Absolutely.
so we need people
Plumbers,
who aren't
electricians.
just going to make a career out of it, but we need all hands on deck to create this stuff here. So,
Absolutely.
so if you're outside of the industry and you have an interest in working on set occasionally, once a year, twice a year, whatever it is, still reach out to the film office.
Yeah, Ricky McManus and Sherry. Why can I not think of Sherry?
Marshek, I believe.
Marshek. That it is. I knew it was an M name. Sherry Marshek. They're great. And just tell them you're interested. Even if you don't have any idea what you might want to do, just tell them you want to be there and learn about all the different moving parts of it, of the village. And then, at some point you'll pick something you like, and or you'll do different things on every film. It doesn't,
The other thing UMFO does is help find locations.
Yep.
That's a great service to provide.
They do, absolutely. So they're in contact with film producers before they even get to town, basically, looking for locations and sending photographs and doing all that.
And again, I can back that point as a person who's done location managing on a few of those films. I get involved with some of the productions 6, 7, 8 months before they even shoot.
Right.
So.
Right.
One thing I would advise, though, is that if you're offering your house as a location, make sure that they know what to do with the blood.
I'm never going to live that one down, am I?
I'm afraid to
Fake
shame you.
blood,
I'm going
fake
to
blood.
shame you on screen here. So Brandon filmed a great short film in our house. And we actually, my wife and I, just literally moved out of the house for 3 days because we were going to be around. And then we realized we were just going to be in the way, so we just moved out. Well, as we come back in the house, Heather comes up to me and she said, "Francis, I have something that we did wrong. I hope you don't mind." That when they made there was a scene where there was blood, and when they were making the blood, they spilt some on our bedroom floor, and it made this stain.
Well,
by the way, Brandon, we still haven't figured out how to get rid of the stain.
What actually happened, and yes, what he says is completely true, but what actually happened is the blood was purposely there for the scene because she cuts herself, and it falls to the floor. And the blood recipes that we have are completely water soluble. They're supposed to wash right off. And because of that, we filmed part of the scene and we had to go back downstairs and film something else. And we made this decision: should we clean this up now or leave it for continuity? And because these are water soluble recipes that I actually got from Jim Ojala, and we've never had an issue with them before, we said it'll come right up. Just leave it because we're gonna be back up here in a couple hours anyway. And then when we cleaned it, for whatever reason, it stuck, and we tried so hard, and we felt so bad, and we still do. that there's now a permanent blood stain.
But I have it over you. So
Once we were filming a horror outside, and it was winter, so we had blood everywhere. Kind of like that wood chipper scene.
You're right.
Blood all over the snow. And that's really hard to clean up. So I remember after the crew just kind of trying to hide all the blood.
Yeah.
Of course, it was in the front yard too, where everybody drives by.
But we now have the story that when people ask and they look at the stain, they go, "What's that?" And there was all this blood all over the place. So we had to clean it up, and that's what happened.
Yeah, well, let's hope the police don't ever have to go to your house because they're going to find it highly suspicious.
They're gonna be knocking on my door.
Yeah.
Who left this blood in here? Brandon Cole. Oh.
Yeah.
Or we also
The guy,
did.
here's the photo.
We also did for the 48-hour film festival. We did a film in our house, and at one point the main character is going through our kitchen looking for something, and we told her, just throw anything you want, throw it anywhere. She literally got into throwing it. Really. So our pots and pans. We're in the living room and she's in the kitchen, and we're hearing this crashing as all the pots and pans are going out of our cupboard, and so it was just hilarious.
So funny.
Interesting. So
that's
probably
actually
some lessons there about letting.
Yeah, and I actually want to piggyback on
use your
that for a second with stuff coming to town, and with again to Francis's point, when you're using somebody's house, when you especially, or say a location like City Hall, make sure that you are respectful, because that is someone's work area, that is someone's home. Try not to do what we accidentally did to Francis's floor and other things like that. And a lot of times film crews come in and take over, and we all need to make a conscious effort to be respectful of the locations that we're in. So that's just something that, while we're on the subject, I want to reaffirm and remind everybody as well.
Another thing about the magic of film. So in Brandon's film, the exterior was a different house.
Yes,
and
it was.
the interior was in our house.
Right.
It was really interesting. How are they going to get it to look like ours? And they go inside. Yep, it looks okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I hope, and I know we're all on the same page on this one. Is I really hope Duluth embraces this new industry.
I do too.
And that people do what they can to support this, because I think this can be absolutely a game changer for our area. It already is changing our area in a great way. And let's face it, we live in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, in my humble opinion. And people should get to see it. And so I know we're all excited about where everything is going, what Catalyst is going to do, what all these different production incentives are going to do. It's all good.
And that's another thing to think about like I mentioned, thanking UMD for their involvement. But now we also think the county commissioners. The county commissioners, that was a big deal to put that tax credit out there before the state did it.
Yep.
They actually were out, and I think it sort of helped the state to make up their mind that they needed to do the tax credits too.
Yeah, they led. St. Louis County led on that, and
so we
just
need to thank
delighted.
our county board of commissioners and our state legislators. That after that came out, I sent a note to our Minnesota representatives and senators, our local ones, and said thank you for doing that, because they need to know that it does matter, and that there will be other things that happen as a result of it, because they don't understand what this is going to do. That they've been told by people what's going to happen.
Right.
But for us in the film community to thank them, because if we get national film efforts coming into town, that can only help the local filmmakers, because they'll get more experience, and then they'll have a better chance to make their own film.
Absolutely.
And to the local filmmakers, the other thing I wanted to say too is that on top of everything that's coming from Catalyst and some of the out of town stuff and all this awesome stuff, there are people right now, Keith Hopkins, Lance Caresty, Sam Weston, all of them, and other local filmmakers that I might not even know, Bodie Warner, are all working on stuff locally, and they're all local people. And I can't really elaborate too much on any specific project, but I can tell you that they've all got something in the works.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. And, we'll all just keep doing,
Right.
trying to schedule as much work as we possibly can. So.
Well, and one thing I wanted to say about the legislation and what they've all gone through is I hope they have patience too to see what it is. I think they're just like some of the people that I was mentioning earlier who think that it should just poof happen overnight because they created these incentives.
Right.
It takes us a little bit of time, but we will show them. We have millions and millions of dollars already coming here, taken from California, taken from Georgia, coming to our state. And we're hiring our friends and neighbors to do these films. So it's going straight into our economy, and it is so important, but it takes a little bit of time.
It does take a little time. You guys know, what kind of lead time it takes to produce a film. I mean, you're working on it a year out. Like, Brandon said with the locations, 6-8 months out, there's so many pieces that have to be put into place before you even arrive in the city that you're shooting in, so yeah, there is kind of there's a quiet time where work is happening that people might not understand, that, we have to get through this pre-production part of this, and, because, you have to organize 20-25 people working on a set together to accomplish a specific.
And not only that, but the world that we live in right now, there's still a lot of talk about, is it safe to have 25-30 people working in close quarters together? And I know several productions, not only in the area, but all over the country, all over the world, are kind of holding off and in that waiting pattern. So, and that's no fault of anybody that's done the great things for the area, that some of these productions just want to wait and play it safe and see what happens. So.
Right. Well, and also, like the last work I did on that film was, they required proof of vaccination or a negative test result, and I was like, okay, if that's what it takes to be with a bunch of people and keep them safe, I don't have a hard time with that. So yeah, and I think we're coming out of it slowly but surely. But I think we're just nothing but uphill from here in terms of where we're going.
Well,
So.
and you were just mentioning just a little bit ago about you hope that our area in Duluth and just Minnesota in general opens their minds and everything for us to come here. Before Catalyst came here, there was a little bit of talk, some negative talk from locals. They were afraid of Hollywood rushing in. And I want to say that you're never going to see that. If you're going to be a local, you're not going to see our population booming. You're not going to see inflation from our industry doing well here. Because production can take years, there is so much that we're doing just inside of our homes from no matter where we are. And then everybody gets together for the actual production, which is about 20 to 30 days
Right.
a year. And still, that's only maybe 25 people on set or, around that.
As one of the locals that was a little bit skeptical of Philip, I have to say, in front of camera and everybody, and I hope Philip's out there watching, that man's won me over. And he's done nothing but great things for the
Catalyst
local.
is great, and Philip has done a great job, and Ricky and Sherry. It's all going to be good. We got to wrap up now because we just flapped our lips continuously in that.
Go to
30
Catalyst.
minutes. Just flew by. But we will see you next time on TV and Film Focus. Keep coming back. Thanks, guys.
Thank
You
you.
bet.
We feel-